This is Dan Tortora here for a very special episode of the Dolphin Dive here with Dr. Linda LeMura, the president of LeMoyne College. Linda, how are you?
I'm well. Always good to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Always good to see you. So we have this beautiful view behind us.
Stunning.
And students are back on campus, walking around, getting ready for whatever is to come in their respective majors, their minors, as well as student athletes. What's it like for you as a president to see the heartbeat come back to the school?
It's the greatest thrill of the year. Normally we say the best time of year is Christmas. This is the most wonderful time of the year for me, as far as I'm concerned. The campus comes alive overnight.
Yeah.
Watching students and faculty members walking around the campus, our Jesuits walking around. You can hear singing coming out of the chapel and out of the Performing Arts Center, and you can hear the balls in this building bouncing around and athletes running around getting in shape for the upcoming seasons. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
You and I spoke about Division I for the past year or so.
That's about right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And when we sat down, I don't know if you remember this in your office, but you said to me in rapid fire, what do you think we should do? And I said, you, in my opinion, have always been Division I caliber, so why not act like what you are? Now you are Division I, so looking back on this process and all this time, how are you feeling?
I'm so glad we did this. I have no illusions about the challenges ahead, but we teach students how to be resilient by engaging them in challenges and giving them the opportunity to compete. I'm thrilled by this. I think it's going to change the way in which we view ourselves. And even when we lose, we're in the game. And that's what competition is all about. That's what life is all about. So I feel good about the decision that we made.
And in making that decision, it was an arduous process. There was a lot of things that went into it. And LeMoyne, as I said with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, the leadership here was so open. You wanted to hear from students, from student athletes, from faculty, from alumni, from parents, from families, from the community. You opened yourself up to criticism, good, bad, and somewhere in between. That entire process, which I commend you for, not doing it in a closed room and saying, this is what we want and you guys are going to like it, going back and looking at the process, as hard as it was at times, what does it say about LeMoyne that the leadership here, you included, wanted to really hear the voices of as many people as you could?
Well, the process in and of itself is a learning tool for our students. This is what we do in higher education. When it's done well in the academy, we debate ideas, respectfully, of course. We knew going in, not everyone was going to agree. We were quite certain of it. And that was in fact the case. And when it comes to a topic like athletics that is inherently emotional, sometimes cooler heads do not prevail. But yet we made sure that everyone's position was aired, and we listened respectfully. We debated on logic, evidence, with data, and in the final analysis, we hit every single constituency group, from students all the way to alumni, benefactors, trustees, even members of the Syracuse community. We actually engaged the community in this conversation. And from that, we had the confidence to make a decision that this is the right thing. This is the right thing. So consultation is timely. You have to be patient, but ultimately the process, it worked.
And you had this voting process that went through from the ad hoc committee, which you were a part of.
I was.
And once they voted either yay or nay, it came to you.
It did.
And then you went to the board. So bring me through that process of being on the ad hoc committee, being in that room when they said, yes, we want to do it, and then you having to put it upon yourself at that point to decide if you wanted to carry it to the board and then the board's decision.
Well, after studying this topic for 1 year and reviewing reams and reams of data, the ad hoc committee, and many of us didn't agree in the beginning of the process, the ad hoc committee voted unanimously that this was the right thing to do after listening to everyone and reviewing all the data. I felt compelled to reflect the unanimity of that group as I presented to the Board of Trustees, and it was nearly unanimous. We had a trustee who did not vote in favor of going D1, but approximately 36 of them did. So it's nearly unanimous. So it was real community buy-in at the end of the day, and it's because we did all of that arduous work.
Why, reflecting back on it, was this the right move with everything that we've seen in realignment, reclassification, how Oklahoma and Texas can move from the Big 12 to the SEC, and that could trickle all the way to LeMoyne? Why was this the right decision at this time?
Actually, all of the complications and the complexities in Division I made this more propitious for us, in my opinion. I'm sure that if you spoke with coaches or some trustees, they would differ with me, and that's okay. The reason that I think this was the best time is that we are an institution that focuses on scholar athletes, and with all of the disruption at the top of the pyramid in the Power Five, we actually imbue the real purpose of higher education and athletics when we are at our best. This isn't just about driving decisions based on TV money, but rather what's best for an institution, for its students, for its student athletes. And then here we have an opportunity again to do the right thing the right way when it comes to, for example, NIL, that we lead with integrity and ethics and following the rules. I think what we did is really countercultural, and I like that.
Yeah.
The last thing we want to do is follow the pack. Dolphins don't like to do that, and it gives courage and the impetus to our students to try hard things. We can do hard things.
Syracuse, New York has 2 Division I schools now.
It's hard for people to say that.
How much do you love it? I love it.
I
How
love
much
it.
do you love it?
I love it. I love the way we're juxtaposed with Syracuse. You know, this Division I Power 5 institution for decades, and the new kid on the block that is young. Literally, we're young in institutional terms, but when Syracuse was our age, they were nowhere as good as we are now. And I don't mind saying that. It's a point of pride, and I'm sure our good friends at Syracuse understand. That's why we're in it for the long haul. And I don't know, it's a joyful thing to build something new.
You got to speak with the women's soccer team.
I did.
And they were the first game for any team with LeMoyne as a fully fledged Division I institution. The first win for any LeMoyne team as a fully fledged Division I institution, and the first win as a program themselves for women's soccer in Division I. What did that moment mean to you, especially because it's Niagara?
What a great question. When I first got the text on the score, I had to check it a couple of times. I was afraid I was reading it incorrectly. And it was just such a thrill that we competed so well in the conference where we once played a couple of sports when we were hybrid in Division I. And we went right back. It's like we didn't skip a beat, went right back, and we're highly competitive in the MAC. And the fact that it was my alma mater is really, really, really sweet for me. I like us to be competitive with my alma mater. I have an affection for my alma mater, but I'm madly in love with this institution now and just proud of our students.
Because it was the MAC and you're in the NEC, did that also feel?
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you did, that was also a very lovely, poignant moment for us too. We honestly thought that we were a real match for the MAC because we had been there before, And we know all of those institutions. We're a natural for that particular conference. It didn't work out, but everything comes around in the long run, and I'm sure we'll be playing more MAC schools and many more sports, and we're just looking forward to a great competition.
Jesuit institutions all across the country, and we already know on the schedule that they are going to be opponents of LeMoyne. How exciting and how fun is that piece, that angle? Because that was one of the things, as soon as this decision was made clear that we're going Division I here at LeMoyne College, that was one of my first thoughts was, ooh, Georgetown. And so, starting to look, and people forget, it's all across the country, Gonzaga as well, but there's a lot of schools, D1, that I would love to have on that Jesuit schedule. And I know that there's already some that are, which I'm sure you're excited about.
I can't wait. For me personally, this is the most exciting part of going Division I. The fact that we can play some schools that have the same mission as we do. Holy Cross, Georgetown, Fordham, Loyola, Maryland. We're playing Holy Cross, a great institution, same mission as ours. They're much older than we are in lacrosse. Playing Georgetown is incredible. You have the oldest, most venerable versus the youngest, the coolest, the hippest Jesuit institution, and as I like to say, the best looking. We'll be competing against them for our very first game, and there's something really special about that. The school founded in the 1700s versus the school where alums from our first graduating class are still alive.
Yeah.
The difference in institutional age, if you will, is so stark and dramatic. But there we are, competing, diving on loose balls, playing as hard as we can against the Hoyas. Unbelievable pleasure.
And it's on election night in the nation's capital.
Really? Okay,
yes.
I didn't. Okay.
Tuesday, November 7th.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah, and 2 days later, Villanova for the men's basketball team.
They reached out to us right out of the gates. We want to play against you. I think that's great. We're excited about that. Very, very excited. Villanova, we love Villanova. Great school. We're going there. We'll give them our best.
So I have to ask you this before we finish up this Dolphin Dive, and I never know how to end anything with you because your energy, your positivity, the way you treat, the way you walk into a room, you do not understand. I hope one day you could fully understand that to garner your respect and to have the relationship that we have makes me feel like I've done something right at some point in 37 years.
You've done a lot right.
So I want to say thank you. But to be the first lay person to lead a Jesuit institution, and on top of that, to add to it, first lay person leading a Jesuit institution into Division I. Now that we've added that to your helmet, another sticker, what does that mean to you?
I want to be a role model for all of our students, but obviously I like for our women to see someone who can take prudent risks and not lament if things don't work out. You pick yourself back up and you get right back into the game and you keep playing hard. And when we went D1, that move is a metaphor for what I just shared with you. We're not going to win all the games that we won in Division II, obviously, but we're going to be highly competitive. We're going to give it our level best, and our student athletes will make this institution proud. So this has been a moment of intense joy, and I just appreciate every opportunity to share that when you invite me on for a little friendly conversation.
And I really do want to let you know that what you've done here for a kid that grew up 10, 11 minutes away, my dad who went here, to be able to walk out the door and be holding my dog in my arms and see my dad and say, hey, Pop, guess what? You're an alum of a D1 institution. And to call my mom and be able to share that with her as well. There's so much coming from this move. And the last stamp that I'd love to put on this conversation is, how does LeMoyne stay LeMoyne? Everything that you stand for, greatness meets goodness, Majus, which obviously we see in that wanting more. But how do you remain who you are as LeMoyne, not get lost in this, not gain an ego, but to be that against the grain special institution that you've always been? How do we keep showing that people matter first and morals and values are at the first piece of this?
Yes, great question. I understand the spirit of the question, and I take it very, very seriously. We know who we are. We know what our values are. We are always going to be true to our mission, and if and when we stray, we will take accountability for that and get right back on track. Our compass, our moral compass, is completely unambiguous. We know what we stand for and what we believe in terms of integrity, good sportsmanship. None of those things will waver, and when they do, we'll correct course very quickly. That's what Dolphins do.
That coming from the president of LeMoyne College, Dr. Linda LeMura, on this very special Dolphin Dive exclusive in our multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College, Wake Up Call, and of course Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. Should we say it? Fins up?
On three.
On three. All right, 1, 2, 3. Fins up! Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're the best. You're the best.
I appreciate you.
This is so good. I'm glad we got this in. I've been wanting to